Let me take you back to a small coffee shop in 1947 in London, where four men are sitting around a wooden table. Imagine four men are sitting around a wooden table. The air is thick with the smell of roasted beans and the excitement of a post war world redefining itself. These men are not politicians, but scholars, thinkers, and journalists. They are discussing the future of the press in a world that had just seen the horrors of propaganda during World War II. One of them looks up and says, "If the press is the fourth estate, it must have some rules of engagement and some theories to guide it." And that moment laid the foundation of what we today call the normative theory of press. What is normative theory? In simple terms, normative means something that sets a standard, a norm. So, normative theory of the press are not about what is happening in media, but about what ought to happen. These are idealistic theories. They gave us ethical guidelines on how the media should function in a society. Now, the question comes, why do we need normative theories of press? Why not let the media be free without any guidelines? Well, think of a media like a river. Without a river bank, it floods and destroys everything. Normative theories act exactly like river banks, guiding media to serve society, inform the public, hold power accountability, and ensure freedom with responsibility. They prevent chaos, bias, and manipulation. What is the importance of normative theories? Why we are studying this? First of all, they help in setting a moral compass for journalists. Normative theory helps to set a moral compass for journalists. Now, again, let's take the example. I will take you back to this small coffee house of London in 1947, where four men are sitting around a wooden table. The air is thick with the smell of roasted beans and the excitement of post war world redefining itself. These men are not politicians, but scholars, thinkers, and journalists. They are discussing the future of the press in a world that had just seen the horrors of propaganda during World War II. One of them looks up and says, "If the press is the fourth estate, it must have some rules of engagement, some theories to guide it." And that moment laid the foundation of what we today call the normative theories of press. Now, stating the importance of normative theories, they help in setting a moral compass for journalists. Normative theory helps to set a moral compass for the journalist. They give directions for media law and press regulations. Before talking about the types, let's understand what is normative theory. They help in setting a moral compass for the journalist. They give direction for media laws and press regulations. They define the relationship between the media and society. They enable media to evolve with social, political, and technological changes. Now, if we trace back to the history of normative theory of press, the most influential historical foundation, as we all know, led by Frederick S. Seibert, Theodore Peterson, Wilbur Scram, in their book Four Theories of Press back in 1956. This book responds to how media operated in different political situations, different political systems. Particularly, it talks about after the World War II situations. The fourth theory of press, as we know, the authoritarian theory, the libertarian theory, it is also known as the free press theory. Then we have Soviet media theory, following with social responsibility theory. The authoritarian theory states that the core idea of authoritarian theory, we can see that media must support the policies of the state and not undermine authority. Who is the authority? The king, the dictators, the governments who controls the press. For example, Nazi Germany or North Korean rule, as we all know. Now, what is the pros of this particular policy, particular theory, the authoritarian theory? It maintains national security. It prevents misinformations. And there is also some cons. There is also some disadvantages. As we all know, nothing is foolproof, right? So, no freedom of press is present in authoritarian theory, as the name suggests. There is censorship, there is propaganda. Then what to follow? No worries, we have libertarian theory, which is free press theory. The core idea of libertarian theory is that the press should be free from government control. People can decide for themselves. Now, who will control it? Press operates as a watchdog. The example is US media during the post-war period. The main positive part of the libertarian theory, we can say that it encourages free speech, democratic participation. And the disadvantage of this libertarian theory is that it can be biased, it can be profit driven, and it lacks actually accountability. The third thing which we will be understanding now is the Soviet media theory. The core idea of Soviet media theory states that media owned by the state but for the benefit of the working class. Who governs it? The communist government. The example we know, USSR during the Cold War. The pros of this Soviet media theory is it focuses on public welfare. And the main disadvantage is no independent press and its heavy censorship. They follow a heavy censorship over here. At last of the fourth theory of press, we have social responsibility theory. As the name suggests, the core idea is freedom with responsibility. Media should serve public interest. Now, who is governing the media under social responsibility theory? It's the media organizations. It is self-regulated. The examples can be many European democracies. The pros of social responsibility theory is balanced ethical journalism. And the main disadvantages are it requires strong institutions and it's not foolproof. Nothing is foolproof, as I have discussed earlier. Now we have beyond the four theories of press. It's an expanded view by John Mill and Ralph Lowenstein. They felt the four theories were too simplistic. Hence, they proposed two more, which is social scientific theory, which includes public opinion and empirical research. Then we have normative professional theory that combines the idea with real world journalism practices. They emphasizes that global media cannot be explained by just four western centric countries, right? So they felt the urge, they felt the importance of these two theories. Then we have William Hitchens, the authoritarian, which means the state control. The western, which means the free, commercially driven, how the press operates. Then we have communist. It's an ideological control. The communist and the Soviet media is kind of same. Then we have revolutionary, media as a tool for change. After that, we have development or third world theory. That means media helps in nation building. What do you think? Isn't it? Media helps to shape it. Media helps to educate it and develop it. After that, we have Robert Pickard's democratic socialist theory. Pickard added the democratic socialist theory. What does it mean? Actually, it supports the media owned collectively or by the public. The less corporate control. It emphasizes on content quality education and civic values. Most important part. The democratic socialist theory controls the civic values. Then we have Dennis Maxwell's addition. Maxwell gave us democratic participation theory back in 1969. It is very important from set perspective. Set eligibility test, right? So the democratic participation theory is the community media. It's the citizen journalism, what we are doing today, the Mojo, the YouTube channels, the newses. They are not the mainstream media, right? But they are shaping the society, right? This concept was given by Dennis Maxwell. Then we have development communication theory. Media as a partner is development used in India's site project, as we can see. Then we have the alternative media theory, and the development communication theory was given in 1983. The alternative theory, you know what does alternative theory states? It actually states the media outside the mainstream, alternative, plan B, such as the feminist zines, the indie media. And YouTube is a famous example, Facebook is a famous example of this alternative media theory. People is not only dependent on the mainstream media, we have pluralistic media today. After that, Helen and Maclean's three typologies. What is it? It's a liberal model. It developed from UK and USA. It's actually market oriented. Strong professionalism. They control the media under the strong professionalism wing, under the strong professionalism eye. It's a democratic corporatist. Everything is corporate over there. Followed in Germany and Scandinavian countries. Strong public broadcasting. Press freedom. There lies press freedom. And state support aided thing is there. And the most important part is popularized. It pluralist. Politically influenced media. It weaks professionalism. So, if we consider the theories, the normative theories of press, we can say that from why it is important in our examination, why we are studying it. So before considering it as a exam important topic, we can say that its importance, we can state its importance, how the press is operating, how the media is operating in different country, in different political situation, the media is operating in a different manner. Having said that, they must be they follow the steps, they follow the footsteps of the current scenario of that particular geographic location. So let's take another example. Suppose in 1970 a student secretly turns the knob of a radio to catch the voice of America. Broadcasting news banned. In a certain part of America, broadcasting news was banned, but a student secretly turns it on. Meanwhile, thousands in New York are marching, holding up newspaper with the bold headlines. Now imagine you are that student. What would happen? What kind of media would you trust? What kind of media would you fear? So in the models, in the theories, in the psychological part we have discussed in previous class, right? So this contrast, the feeding of informations, this contrast is not just historical, it's philosophical as well. It leads us straight into normative theory of press. We are talking about normative, we are talking about the norms of the press, the framework that tells us not just what media is. They are not stating what is media, they are stating what it should be in different geographical location. So let's break it down more simply. Normative theory is like a moral compass for the media. It's a moral compass. While empirical theories describe how media behaves in real world. In the previous lectures we have discussed about how media behaves, but now we are talking about the norms, we are talking about the normative theories of the real world situation. where normative theories prescribe how media ought to behave in an ideal society. Mark the word ideal society. It's all about ethics, it's all about values, the relationship between the media and government. It is the relationship between whatever government it can be. It can be democratic, it can be autocratic, it can be monopoly, anything. But it states the relationship between whom? It states the relationship between the media and the government. It states the relationship between the media and the public. It also states the relationship between the media itself. It answers questions like, should media be fully free? Have you think of it? Should it have limits? We don't know. Actually, it depends on the geography. It depends on the politics of that particular location. Whom should it serve first? The advertisers or the government? If we serve the advertisers, then undoubtedly it will be biased for the advertisers, right? Where then whom to follow? How to disseminate the basic function of media? It's quite confusing, right? So to diminish all this confusion, we have the different norms, we have the different theories given by Theodore Peterson, Wilbur Schramm, Friedrich Seibert back in 1956. After that, they developed some more theories, other authors, other scholars, other researchers developed other theories as well. But these norms were required. As I have given that example, suppose news are rivers and there is no river bank, there is no controlling element, then whom to follow? Whom to believe? It would be a very much difficult scenario for the political, for the geographical environment. People will be confused. And to diminish the confusing element, we are having these different types of norms. So as far as normative theory is concerned, we know that there are authoritarian, there are libertarian, there are Soviet media, there are social responsibility theory. Every different theory have its own advantages and disadvantages. By now we know what do we need normative theory. Why do we need normative theory? Because without them the media becomes a wild horse with no reins. It will move here and there. It's like a mind. Our mind moves here and there without a meditative one, without meditation our mind tends to move here and there. It's a mad horse. It's powerful but it's directionless. So we need norms, we need discipline. But where to use that discipline, how to use that discipline, that helps us identify according to the geography, according to the political situation. So if you consider about democracy, media is the fourth pillar, we all know. In a dictatorship, it becomes a difficult, it becomes propaganda. But in capitalism, it may cause profit over truth. Because capitalist is least bothered about the social responsibility part. It's profit, profit and profit. Therefore, they are stating that it's profit over truth. Now, normative theory is nothing but, I repeat, acts as a moral support and a guiding light. They set standards for how the press should inform, educate, entertain and empower. The importance of normative theory of press, they are crucial for media policy and lawmaking. Deciding what freedom of press means in practice. They state the journalism ethics, balancing public interest with responsible reporting. The democracy building, the fourth estate, they have to justify the fourth pillar. Ensuring informed citizen and accountable governance. It's like a blueprint. Before building a house, it's a planning part. You need to know what kind of structure you want. Similarly, before evaluating media, we need a framework to judge it, right? So stating a brief history, we can say the formal study began with the four theories. The formal study started with the four theories by Fred Seibert, Theodore Peterson and Wilbur Schramm in 1956. They published a groundbreaking book, Four Theories of Press, because the initial stage is the main part. Anyone can develop, not anyone can develop. But people can further continue the research. But the first thing, suppose the invention of television, we had big sets. The invention of computers, we had big sets. Then after research and development, now we are having computer in our pocket, because every phone works under the system of computer. A phone have a RAM, phone have a ROM, phone have a central processing unit, a motherboard. Similarly, computers also have it. So in developing a part, developing a way, or changing it and inventing it for a good is different. Invention always plays a better role, it plays a historic creation. So the four theories of press, the main four theories. After that, beyond four theories, we have many theories. Main William Hitchens, we can say about William Hitchens, we can say about John Merrill, we can say about Dennis Maxwell, and there are many. So what we are talking about, we must consider the brief history of the first four things, right? The authoritarian, the libertarian, the Soviet media, and the social responsibility. Their work became the foundation part of media ethics, the media law, the press freedom studies across the world. Not only India, it is across world. The four classic theories of the press is authoritarian, as we have discussed. The media should support the state, not question it. It controls. Who controls it? The government decide what gets published or not in the authoritarian part. It's having some advantage. In authoritarian, we have the advantage of national security, the order, the stability of crisis. But the disadvantage of authoritarian, we can say that no press freedom, only propaganda, the fear of repression. So real world examples, we have Nazi Germany, we have North Korea, we have pre-liberalization China. The press is seen as a servant to the government. In authoritarian, we can say that press is seen as a servant, right, to the government, not the people. So with that, we have free press theory to oppose that. The core idea is that people have the right to know the truth. The press should be free to investigate and publish without inference. The control, the none in theory. Libertarian theory is controlled by none. Next, what we have? Next, we have it is market driven. The pros is freedom of expression, watchdog journalism. The cons can spread misinformation, sensationalism, media monopolies. The real world example can be US, early stage of UK press. The best way to defeat false speeches with more truth speech. Then we have Soviet or communist media. The core idea is that the press should serve the goal of the working class and socialist ideology. Centralized state control, unified messaging for social development, no distance allowed, truth filtered through ideology. USSR, Cuba, China are the real world examples of Soviet media theory. The press educates the masses in the spirit of socialism. Then we have social responsibility theory. It was developed by Hutchins Commission in US in 1947. If we talk about the core idea, the freedom was accountability. The press is free but must act responsibly. Control, it was self-regulation through ethics. The ombudsman, the editorial standards. The pros are the balanced public interest driven journalism. And there lies the cons, that is risk of media gatekeeping, the elite influence. The real world examples of social responsibility theory is the BBC, the public service broadcasting, the ethical print journalism. With great freedom comes great responsibility, as we all know. Now going beyond, John Mill and Ralph Loewenstein believed that the original four were too Western. They expanded the framework by adding new philosophies like essential theory. Press reflects individual freedom and identity. Postmodern approaches. Media is fragmented but multi-voiced, not one narrative. They opened up space to study how culture, religion, and globalization affect press roles. William Hitchens' five model, we can say that the authoritarian, the Western, the communist, and the revolutionary, which we have discussed. Now Dennis Maxwell, which we have always discussed. So next time you read a newspaper or scroll through news on your phone, ask yourself, what theory does this media reflect? Who is serving? Is it free or is it pretending to be? All right. So, can you guess what about India? What about Indian press? So, let's now connect the normative theory of press significantly to India, both historically and the contemporary concept. How do normative theory apply to India? India is a fascinating case because it doesn't fit neatly into just one theory. It reflects a blend of multiple models shaped by colonial legacy, democracy, development, digital disruption. Let's unpack it. Authoritarian roots. It's pre 1947. If we consider about Indian theory in pre 1947, we can say that during British rule, the press operated under strict colonial control. Laws like the Vernacular Press Act 1878 and Indian press, it was authoritarian, right? In post-independence 1947, so if we consider about the normative theory of India, it can be divided in pre-1947, it was authoritarian rooted. In 1947 till 1980, post-independence, we can say it's libertarian and social responsibility, according to the article 19(1)(a) of guarantees the freedom of speech and expression. However, during emergency, considered the emergency situation of 1975 to 1977, press censorship was imposed, reminding us how fragile freedom can be. India oscillated between press and authoritarian impulses. Development communication phases. In 1950, now we are moving to the development communication phases of 1950 to 1990. India actively used media for nation building, for education, for family planning. We know that's the example of sight. Radio Doordarshans were tools of developing communication, heavily influenced by the government. Aligns with the development media theory, where media supports social and economic progress, isn't it? Then after 1991, we know the new economic policy, the NEP, the liberalization, the privatization and the globalization. In 1991 onwards, economic reform took place and it brought a boom in the private news channels and the direct foreign investment, FDIs. The advertising revenue, media became competitive, media became profit driven and often sensational. Strong element of libertarian theory, but with increasing commercial bias. Now, considering today's scenario, it's a complex hybrid situation. India's press today reflects social responsibility, ethical watchdog journalism, fact checking portals, PSB efforts. Example, the All India Radio, the Rajya Sabha TV. If we consider about the libertarianism, it's 24/7 news cycle. Online media, it's the citizen journalism, it's the mobile journalism. The developmentalism, if we consider about the developmentalism, the government outreach via Man Ki Baat, the digital India campaigns, what we all can see. And if we consider about the authoritarian tendency, then it's sedition law. We have arrest of journalists, we have regulatory overreach. So it's a complex of hybrid, right? So alternative media, we are also having alternative media, the community radio in rural areas, the regional YouTubers, the independent blogs. India is not one model, my dear. It's a all mixture of all model in different propositions. Final reflection for student. When you watch Republic TV and then scroll the where or list to Man Ki Baat, do you see different theories in action? What's your opinion? State in the comment box. All right. So thank you. It was it with today's lecture, the normative theories of press. What do you think about today's video? Please comment down below. So we are now studying the revision course on different elements of this NTA UGC net. So dear students, as we wrap up today's journey from authoritarian kingdoms to democratic debates, from Soviet broadcast to development radio, from libertarian blogs to social responsibility newsroom, remember this: the press is not just a mirror reflecting society, it's also a hammer shaping it. And even society must ask, what kind of press do we want? And praise that fears power or a praise that questions it. A praise sells ad. or no that serves citizens. In India, we live in a democracy that aspires to freedom. Yes, so I was telling, in India we live in a democracy that aspires the actual freedom, but is often pulled by the strings of political power, corporate fundings, and the public pressure. That's why you, as a future media professional, scholar, and thinker, must not just study theories, but use them as a lens to analyze, critique, and build a better media system. The next time you see a trending headline or a viral video, ask yourself, which normative theory does this belong to? Is it informing me or influencing me? Both are I. But is it informing or influencing it? That we must understand. Is it giving me truth or taking my attention? That's what a media student must distinguish. Remember, we are the student of media, because understanding what the pressure should be is the first step in making the press what it must be. Thank you so much for joining me in this live session. If you found it very valuable, don't forget to like, share, and comment your thoughts below. And as always, keep questioning, keep learning. Until next time, keep supporting At Ease No Media, where we discuss media related topics at ease.